building a personal brand is not overnight. And I think just really staying patient in the process and making sure that you're staying aligned with who you are through the journey. It's going to evolve over time, but never compare your chapter 1 or chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20, because that is the thief of all joy. Hey everyone, welcome to the Tori Cruz Show, where we're shining a light on real conversations and transformational stories with some of the most dynamic entrepreneurs and faith-driven leaders you'll ever meet. I'm Tori Cruz, your host, entrepreneur, virtual stylist, and former Miss Missouri USA, ready to guide you along this exciting journey. This isn't just any podcast. It's your new home for stories that uplift, conversations that transform, and a community that feels like family. From the real challenges to the exhilarating moments of achievement, we cover it all, infused with adventure, laughter, insights, and heartfelt discussions. So settle in, make yourself comfortable, and let's get this show on the road. This is the Tori Cruz Show.
Hello, you guys. Welcome to today's episode, and I am so excited for a very special guest and really great girlfriend of mine, Tori Cruz. Former Miss Missouri USA, Tori Cruz turned her passion for fashion and empowerment into a global virtual styling business. Tori helps female entrepreneurs and speakers master the art of dressing for success, aligning their internal confidence, and attracting higher level markets. As a speaker, she shares her inspirational journey and provides actionable steps to help women look and feel like $1,000,000. And trust me, she is going to look and feel like $1,000,000 in today's episode. Tori, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's dive in, shall we? Hello, everyone. I am so excited for today's special guest, my really great girlfriend, Tori Cruz, who, in full transparency, we have literally tried to record this podcast like 14 times. So I am extra excited to be bringing this podcast to you today with Tori.
It has been a journey. I am so excited that we're here. We have been saying this for literally like 14 times. And I really have faith that this time, like, technology is going to pull through for us. And this is going to be the best episode. It was supposed to be made for this exact moment.
100%. And I feel like some of my questions aren't even going to be a surprise anymore because you've had a dress rehearsal or 5 and know what I'm going to ask you.
We've only told the same stories a few times, but you know what? Here we are. It's going to be great. And I
Totally.
told Allie, I was like, Allie, it is so wonderful that we are both very optimistic people, because if either one of us were like just a little bit pessimistic, this would just go up in flames because we have had so many technical difficulties for some reason, but this one's going to go smooth.
100%. And I think that's even just it plays a little bit of a tribute to our characters and our energetic matches that you and I are very similar. And I actually remember one time that you and I were on a phone call and I was at our gym and my trainer was like, "Who are you talking to? She literally sounds like you. Like your energy levels sound so similar." And I was like, "That's a really big compliment. I love Tori and she's so high vibe and such great energy." And I actually feel like that's an excellent segue of talking about our really romantic love story of how we met and became friends. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, thank you, Lori Harder. We'll just go right to it. So Allie and I were actually at an event in Austin, Texas back in April. And I went to this event by myself, and it was at the JW Marriott. I walked in the JW before the event. There were two restaurants there, a steakhouse and like a lunch cafe restaurant. And I went in there and I booked reservations for lunch and for dinner for groups of about 6 to 8 people every single day. Keep in mind, I went there with zero friends. I knew nobody. I did not come with anybody. It was like the most extroverted extrovert side of Tori. And yes, I'm talking in third person, but it was the most extroverted side of myself. And I booked these reservations because then it forced me to go connect and go make friends, but then not just to meet people like you do at a conference or event, but then to actually invite those people to lunch or dinner and have deeper conversations and connect and have deeper relationships with these people. And so it was such a fun experiment. I had never done this before. And I actually knew that Lori Harder was a speaker for this specific event. And I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey girl, is this something that you'd be interested in? Do you want to join us for any of these? I know you got a busy schedule. So if not, do you know of anybody else in the room that may enjoy some of these lunches or dinners?" And she was like, "I have the perfect person that I have to introduce you to. You will absolutely love her. Her name is Allie." And I was like, amazing. She connected Allie and I, and it was like right then, Allie, I'll let you take it from here, but we had so much fun the rest of the time. And yeah, I'm excited for you to share the rest of the story with the people.
I remember when Lori connected us and we sort of dialogued via text, and then we were sitting in the ballroom where the growth day event was, and I was there with my mom, and you walked in, and I said to my mom, like elbowing her, I'm like, 100% that is Tori Cruz, like this blonde, beautiful Amazon of a human in this gorgeous yellow dress, this beautiful handbag and shoes, like just all the accessories were so perfectly matched with what you were wearing. You had this big, beautiful smile, and I just knew, I was like, "That is 100% Tori." And so I did like a deep lurk of your Instagram to confirm. I was like, "Yes, I was right. That's Tori." And I am just so excited that Lori connected us and that you also curated these amazing reservations and you included my mom and I to join for, not one dinner, but we had multiple dinners and glasses of wine together. And that we've also been able to see each other, I swear, like every 2 to 3 months, even though you're in the US and I'm in Canada. And I think that's a really cool takeaway from going to that growth day event and being in the room and having this incredible force that's a mutual friend and mentor for us connect the two of us and the relationship and friendship that you and I have built since last spring.
Oh my gosh, I know. And even being on podcast recordings together about 14 times, it
Yeah.
just deepens relationships, people.
And we got in the trenches together.
Yes.
Well,
And
I
you
mean,
come
I
out
I
together.
love your story and like everything that I know about you, but I also want everybody listening to know who Tori is and what Tori is all about. I think you have a really cool, like very colorful story of your past of where you are currently. So I would love for you to dive into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story has really come full circle for me. When I was a little kid, my mom always dressed me to the nines. I always have had this inner fashionista in me because of my mom dressing me for different holiday parties. We would have matching sweaters all the time, or would take me to a country concert. I'd have these cute little white boots and a cowboy hat. And she just ingrained in me from when I was little, just fashion and style. And then as I grew older and all throughout my childhood, I became a little bit more of a tomboy. I grew up with an older brother who never cuts me any slack, still to this day. And we both were just into sports all the time. And basketball really became our main sport throughout our childhood. And so I became super competitive. I loved just the challenge of performing and perseverance and overcoming and fighting some of the losses in basketball and how to be better the next time. And looking at your film and be like, all right, just like breaking down the progress of how to win. And so after high school, I went on to the University of Iowa, majoring in entrepreneurship. Thank God I'm actually using my major. When I got to college, I started competing in pageants after seeing an ad on the screen say compete at Miss USA. And so I signed up, started competing for Miss Iowa Teen USA as a competitor. I thought, all right, I got this. I'm going to win this. Little did I know that was far, far, far from my story. And it became a 8-year total journey of persevering and overcoming. And there's a lot to unfold and unpack within that. But what that looked like was after I graduated college, I went on to St. Louis, Missouri, sold commercial flooring, the most glamorous job on planet Earth. And so I sold flooring and then I decided to compete for Miss Missouri USA. And when I was competing for Miss Missouri USA, something just hit me in 2015. And I was like, I want to win this thing and I want to compete at Miss USA. I'm done just competing for the heck of it. I love winning and I'm not ashamed to say I love winning and I am a competitor through and through. And so I ended up hiring coaches and mentors that could get me there. And then once I was first runner up in 2017, I decided, you know what? I need to go all in on my goal. If I want to step on that Miss USA stage representing the state of Missouri, I have to go all in. And my whole life has to revolve around this one goal. And so that's when I quit my sales job. I moved to LA temporarily, Airbnb hopped for 8 months, and I was a full time model. So I was really practicing my runway skills, my on camera skills. I hired one of the best hosting teachers out in LA. So I was practicing my own camera and my hosting abilities. And then also I was a freelance sports reporter and created my own at-home studio with that. So I was always practicing my craft. So then when competition time came for Miss Missouri USA, I went back to Missouri. And that year in 2018 is when I won Miss Missouri USA and then went on to compete at nationals at Miss USA.
That is so cool. Obviously, I knew parts of that story, but I didn't realize that it was 8 years, and I think that's really interesting for a lot of people to know and understand that that was a long journey for you, but also, I would imagine the investments that you were making within that journey were at a certain level because you were going out and outsourcing these leaders and coaches and mentors. And like, to what capacity were they? Whether it was a speaking coach or on camera, was it a mindset coach, nutrition, personal trainer? Like, I'd love to know. Like, let's break down. I want to know all the details.
I got you, girl. There were so many. By the time I competed at Miss USA, I had 6 coaches that I was working with every single day. So for Miss USA, the areas of competition were evening gown, interview, and swimsuit. And so fitness was obviously really huge. I had a personal nutritionist and trainer. For your on-stage question, if you make it to top 5, you have to answer a current event question. So you really got to be sharp on those. I had a specific current events coach. It wasn't a speaking coach, even. It was specifically, she was just feeding me current events nonstop. And that was the biggest challenge for me. But focus on current events. And then I had a runway coach. And then I had 2 other former Miss USAs. And they really taught me a lot about personal branding. Those were the 2 coaches who just really honed in on the personal branding. And then I had hair and makeup artists. So I traveled around the country meeting with different hair and makeup artists. And I worked with the Miss Universe choreographer numerous times out in New York. I'd fly over there and then also shoot with the Miss Universe photographer. It really helped me with like my different poses and the angles of my face and facial expressions for on stage and different angles that the camera was going to be hitting you. And so I think that's way more than 6 actually. I had I think maybe 8 or 9 by the time I went to Miss USA. But it was a team effort. And that's where it really taught me. And Allie, I know you're so good at this about getting in the room, the proximity, and knowing that's really the key to success a lot quicker. And having all those coaches and mentors really challenged me, but they really held me accountable more than anything because I wanted this so dang bad. And I really wanted to win Miss USA. It wasn't in my cards for me. That wasn't God's plan. But you know what? I got to Miss USA. I walked the stage of Miss USA live on Fox. It was the coolest experience that I had ever had up until that point. And I can't say I did it all myself. Sure, I put in the work, I put in the reps, I mentally overcame a lot after hearing all those no's time and time again and having to go back and essentially watch film and see, hey, how can I do better the next time? How do I need to wake up every single day and be Miss USA before I am Miss USA? And that was really the mindset shifts that I had to make in order to win Miss Missouri and go on to nationals.
I have goosebumps. Like, again, like, knowing your story, but not knowing the magnitude and the impact, like, ooh, that was so good, and I can't even imagine that experience, and I feel like, to your point, like, if it wasn't necessarily in your path or the plan that God had aligned for you, but it was still an experience, and you probably learned a boat ton of lessons that you can then put in your pocket and save for later and apply those throughout your life moving forward. However, I also feel like this entire experience was so transformative for you to where you are now and what you're doing from a professional standpoint.
Yeah, completely. After I competed at Miss USA, I always thought I wanted to be a sports reporter. That's why I went out to LA. One of the big reasons was because it was the number 2 market for sports reporting. And when I was out in LA, just a little glimpse of that because it is a really big part of my story and how I am where I am now. I thought I wanted to be a sports reporter. I had 0 experience in sports reporting. I had just had hundreds of people tell me, Tori, you would be a really great sports reporter. And you hear so many people start to tell you that because I love sports. I am obsessed with sports still. And I love speaking. And a lot of people were like, you have the perfect voice for a sports reporter. And I heard it so many times that I was like, heck, maybe there's something to this. And so that's why I went out to LA, but I had no experience. So when I went out there, I had an Airbnb. I went out to Party City and I was like, how can I make this at home studio for sports reporting so I can actually collect content and then actually take it to these different, like to Fox Sports, to the Big Ten Network, and really try to get a job after I compete for Miss USA. And I did that. So I went to Party City. I got this fake turf. So it looked like I was standing on a football field. I got a football. I did some sort of backdrop. And then I would watch a football game on TV and sitting in my Airbnb in Hollywood, watched a game on TV. I bought a mic with this long black cord that connected to my phone with my ring light. I would put my phone up there with my ring light, attach this mic to it. I would watch the game, go change, put on my dress and my heels, do my hair, my makeup, and I would grab my mic and say, reporting live from Highlights and Heels, this is Tori Cruz. And then I would talk about the game and I would create my own content from my at home studio. And nobody knew that this was in my Airbnb that was kind of a piece of junk in Hollywood. But I was creating content and I didn't know then that I was actually creating. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know the magnitude of it, where I was actually starting to create my personal brand then. And that was just the kickoff to really my personal branding experience and the knowledge that I have now with it. I always love sharing that story because if you're somebody listening and you've always had this massive dream to go for something, you literally can create it today and do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I took that content, Allie, and I put it in iMovie. I created a reel. I made sure I reported on basketball. I reported on the Olympics. I reported on a golf tournament. I combined all this footage, made it into a highlight reel in iMovie, and I literally sent it to the hiring manager at Fox Sports at FS1 in LA who hired Aaron Andrews. And I got 2 interviews with it.
So amazing. I love this story so much. I also love that it was called Highlights and Heels. Like, that's a big takeaway for me. I love that.
It ended up being my company name before I changed it to Tori Cruz Enterprises.
Oh, I love this so much. In all seriousness, I am going to think about this later and I am going to chuckle with so much love. But I love what you said, that you literally can create your dream. You can live in your dream, you can create your dream. And if you are creative, like what you did with getting the turf and the mic and the ring light, then sometimes there is an investment piece to it, but you can literally create whatever you want and then use that to propel yourself forward for like the even bigger dream. So that
Yeah.
is a really cool piece of your story. And I really love that I just learned that about you as my friend. So I love
I
that.
had I have to share that part because every time I deliver a keynote at an event, I'm not kidding you, I will have a 45-minute keynote, and the one thing that people come up to me for is they're like, "You made an at-home studio? That is so cool. Tell me about it." And so now I'm like, I have to share that just because it really was the creative juices flowing in my mind where I was like, "How can I make my dream a reality before it's a reality? And how can I create an opportunity for myself?" Because I was not getting any opportunities to talk to even the smallest network, let alone FS1, but the smallest network wouldn't even take a look at me because I had no highlight reel. So you just have to start being really creative and just make it work. And if you want something bad enough, there's a way for you to get the content and get the experience without having the experience. And then I also ended up flying over to Chicago and I went to the Big Ten studios and met with people over there too. So it was just like the whole thing. I created this whole experience for myself. But going back to your original question, one of the coolest things that happened was you never know where God's leading you in life and you never know where he's taking you. And this is even a message that's preaching to myself right now because like, I thought that I was going to be a sports reporter, but actually, what I was actually practicing for was to be a speaker. And now that's one of my largest like passions, speaking at women empowerment conferences. And so I took that experience and then after Miss USA was done, I started my company instead of going to work for a network because I realized in that moment that I had so much content that I could really truly help women with when it came to mindset and confidence building instead of working for somebody else and working for somebody else's dream. I felt like after 8 years of experiencing this, and to your point of this massive personal development journey, I really felt like I could offer something and really make a large impact with young women. And so that's how I actually founded my company was based upon mindset and confidence coaching for women. And now as a virtual fashion stylist, I just use that component in a different way. And it's still empowerment because styling is way deeper than just the outward appearance and clothing.
Ugh, I love that so much. And it is so neat to hear all of these sort of every few years as part of your journey between how it started as a little girl with how connected to fashion you were because of your mom, and then the discipline from sports and the relationship with your brother and maybe slightly competitive. And you're just going to roll that into the Miss USA experience and the connection to confidence and mindset and just honing your craft, getting gritty with creating your dream and putting yourself in places, situations, or creating those places. And, combining all of that, just like this moving tide as to where you are now is so neat. And I love this so much. And I would love people to understand what it looks like to have a standout personal brand, how that is impacted through your style, your personal style.
Yeah, I want to make note too that developing your personal brand is just definitely not an overnight process. And that is one thing that it's really hard sometimes to look at is you see a lot of people on social media where their brand looks like some of you maybe even looking at my brand right now and be like, "Oh my gosh, like I want that. How can I create that?" Do you know that if I looked at what I have now on social media and what my brand is right now, if I looked at that 5 years ago when I started my company, literally scroll back to the archives. It
Like
is
Valencia
fun.
filter days?
Yes. Yes. It's fun, but building a personal brand is not overnight. And I think just really staying patient in the process and making sure that you're staying aligned with who you are through the journey. It's going to evolve over time, but never compare your chapter 1 or chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20 because that is the thief of all joy. And that's what I learned during pageantry was I could never compare myself. If it was my second, third year competing, but then I wasn't placing in the top 5, I had to be wise enough in my mind and with the people who I was surrounding myself with to know that, hey, I can be there, but I'm going to actually have to put in the work just like these other women did if I want to actually take home the crown. And that's the lesson that I take with me through business as well.
I love that. Thief of joy. That's great. I always love using the term like choose joy, live in joy. I think being aware of like a thief of joy is also really interesting. So thank you for that. In terms of crafting that personal style, again, I totally echo what you said that creating a personal brand is not an overnight project. And I think it's also something that you will probably refresh and maybe rebrand depending on where you are. If you are working in corporate, but then you're going to go into the world of entrepreneurship, your personal brand might look a little bit different, or single to maybe being a wife, or we could go on and riff on those changes. But when it comes to crafting that personal style, like more from a visual identity, are there some places that you, first of all, maybe work with clients and chat through starting points for them, or for our community listening, what the starting point might look like if someone feels a little overwhelmed and like, I don't have a personal brand style. Where do I start? What do I do?
Yeah, so it all starts with who you are and who you are internally. And that's the number one thing that I work with a lot of women who are going through a transition in life. Like you just mentioned, it could be a relationship, it could be in your career, you could be going from corporate to entrepreneurship, it could be you went through a big health journey. There's a lot of women that I work with that are going through a different transition or just merely they are leveling up. They're doing a rebrand right now and they're wanting just to go to that next version of them and so that's what's so fun about the work that I get to do is really helping women pull out and give women permission to be their best self and really empower them to do that. But it all starts with you knowing who you are as a person and who you want to portray into the world. Because, like I said, clothing is clothing, but it is so much more than that. It's a reflection of who you are internally. And so that's what I really talk about all the time with women is just how clothing and your wardrobe and your image is a conversation piece. And then it strikes that conversation. So you want to make sure it reflects who you are as a person, get really clear on that, get really clear on your business goals specifically, even your brand pillars specifically. And then let's find and create that wardrobe that reflects that. So, for instance, Ali, with you, I was actually thinking about this before one of these 14 recordings on here. You're a gym owner, you have a podcast, you're just an entrepreneur as a whole, right? And you have a very vibrant personality. You are absolutely stunning. You need the image, and you do. You rock this. I love the bold lip. It fits you, right? And somebody could walk up to you, and the power is really aligning who you are, your personality, your interests, your characteristics, the way that you think, the career choice that you had chosen, and it reflects that. So it strikes a conversation. So somebody could come up to you and be like, "Hey, Allie, I love the red lip. That looks so striking on you." And then it starts a conversation. But because somebody said that to you, it makes you feel instantly more confident. You know that is you because you rock a red lip that reflects your personality. If you were somebody who was a little bit more timid and shy, I don't think you'd probably wear a red lip, right? It's those little twists, and I know that's more on the makeup side of things, but it still goes and it aligns with your wardrobe. It's just really important to find those little tweaks, and you're wearing a hat on one of our other recordings too, but that's another thing, it's a conversation starter. So then people get to know who you are on the inside and your passions and your business and how you're able to serve the world.
Oh, 100%. And I actually get that a lot in the gym setting. Like, I love having a lot of fun with color in terms of my work outfits. And, bright pink, bright yellow, blue, lavender. Don't get me wrong, I love a good black set as well. But more often, you will find me in a color athletic wear set versus black. I think it just speaks to, obviously, we own the gym. So I'm extra invested and passionate about our space, but I want it to be a high energy environment. And that's what we work really hard to create. And so that's my big role, is to bring the energy and bring those high vibes and those good vibes. And I feel like a colorful outfit is a component of that.
Yes.
And I think also it's funny that you comment on the bold lip, because I have realized over the last year with some of these rooms that I've been in, a bold lip has become like my piece of, okay, I want to go to this event and I want to wear a nice outfit, but I also want to ensure I'm wearing a bold lip. So I don't want to be too loud where I'm wearing a bright red lip and a hot pink outfit because maybe it's way too much happening. But if there can be components of it, and I'll sort of know that, maybe I'm wearing a neutral outfit, but I really want to have that bold lipstick and a bold earring to have that first impression. So I would love to know, like, even for Tori, like, what your approach is to events, because you always look incredible and very much a reflection of your brand and business, your personal brand and your business as an entrepreneur. But what goes through your mind when you're preparing for an event?
The biggest thing is I always find a staple piece that goes with my branding, but also the branding of the event. There was an event that I was just at in Laguna Beach with Brooke Thomas. She's incredible. Check her out if you haven't ever followed Brooke before. But I was at Brooke Thomas's event, and her event is all pink. I mean, all pink. It is the most beautiful event that you have ever seen. But you still want to stay true to who you are and what your business branding is. If I can somehow tie in my personal branding with an events branding, that's like a match made in heaven. So my thought process when I'm packing, it takes a long time. I'm not going to lie, because I really want to make sure that is on point, because you're a walking billboard for your brand everywhere you go. So I'm not just packing for the event, but I'm packing for my travel days, because there's so many people that you walk by in the airport that it's a missed opportunity. And I know sometimes it's one of those things where you're like, I just want to be chill. I want to be turned off. I just want to walk through the airport with my headphones on and not talk to anybody. You will never see me doing that. I always make sure that I am dressed the part. I look the part in the airport. I'm looking out. I rarely ever, unless I'm on a phone call, have my headphones in, because it is the best place to meet people. And you are literally one connection away from changing your entire life around. And so, in the best way possible, right? And so when I'm thinking about specifically the event days, I'm always thinking, okay, how do I want to show up? If somebody walks by and they don't say anything, but they go over to their friend and say, oh my gosh, I think you need to meet her. Like, that's what you want, because then you can talk about your passions and your business and maybe help somebody or create just a mere friendship like Ali and I have. It's amazing. And so for me, I'm always thinking, okay, how do I want to show up? I always like to dress a little bit more elevated than you would think of a typical event attendee. I always like to go one notch above what you would typically wear. And that is just because I want to strike up more conversation. I do want to get noticed. And for a long time, it felt weird saying that, but I do want to stand out, because when you stand out, it creates conversations, it creates friendships, it creates sales, it creates more impact in this world. And that's what we all need. And so this last event that I just went to, I had the loudest outfit on and it was awesome. It was so fun, but it was also me. I have a very loud personality. I have a very big personality. And so I had metallic pants on. I had a black leather tank on and also a newspaper, multicolor newspaper blazer. And then I had a hat very similar to this, but it was pink. So it was my branding, and I just think to myself, number 1, comfort level. Am I gonna be standing a lot or am I gonna be sitting a lot? I don't want to have clothes that wrinkle, because I'm gonna be taking a lot of photos when I'm at this event, and if I'm sitting there the whole day, I don't want my clothes to get wrinkled and then take photos, it just looks like a mess. Am I gonna be standing a lot? What type of shoes are going to really set off this entire outfit? But also, I'm not going to be thinking how bad my feet are hurting me all day at this event. And then I always find a staple piece. So for me, there was a lot of staple pieces in that specific outfit that I just talked about. But really, for me, it was the newspaper blazer. Well, I mean, it was all staple: the newspaper blazer, the hat, the metallic pants. literally it was all a conversation piece because they were all so different. But on a typical event, I usually find one staple piece and I build everything else around that. So I'm like, I know I want to wear this newspaper blazer. All right, what can go with this newspaper blazer? And I build around that for the appropriate weather, for the event. The reason why I always make sure that it is aligned with my brand and the event host brand is for this reason, because you're posting a lot of content. And if you're not, you should be. And so you're posting a lot of photos, a lot of videos. You want it to look aesthetically pleasing on your page. You want it to reflect who you are, your values, your brand, your message. But then also, you are taking photos in front of the event host backdrops. You're taking photos in front of all of their branding colors. And this is what I do with all of my clients. I do all of the research of they tell me what events they're going to, they tell me the days they're going, what they're doing. I have them fill out this really extensive form. And then I really dive deep and I find outfits that go with their brand that also go with the event host brand because it just looks a lot better. You don't want to be wearing like this bright yellow blazer and have, I don't know, a bright pink everywhere else. It doesn't flow. It doesn't look aesthetically pleasing on your page or their page. And lastly, and then we can jump on to the next question. But the next thing is really why it's important to also somewhat align your wardrobe with the events branding is because if you look really good in their photos and their video footage that their camera people for their event are taking, you're going to be on 10 times more of their marketing material if you are representing their brand in a phenomenal way. So I'm not saying differ from your branding, but definitely having a wardrobe is what I stress to all of my clients is having that wardrobe that we create for them that is aligned with also the event house because you're going to get way more exposure. And it's all about being seen and about getting noticed more. So your brand gets noticed more. And those photographers, videographers, they are going to be snapping pictures of you left and right if you look the part and make their event look great. And it's just a different marketing position for you too.
Oh my gosh, mic drop. That is so true. And I think that is incredible advice. And if people are planning, like, where do they want to invest their time and dollars and, precious travel days that, is dedicated to going to some of these events that have travel related to them. I think this is incredible advice for people to pocket and take away and be able to apply moving forward to where they're going to go and be seen and how they can just complement the event host and the venue, the branding, the energy of the event. I think that is incredible. And I think that is an excellent reflection of your services. When people are hiring you, that you do the research. Who is the event host? What is the vibe, the energy, location? I love the point about are you standing from a footwear standpoint, sitting? Are you going to wrinkle? Because I've been to events like that where I have not learned, and it is so frustrating. I think actually one of the days in growth day, I was wearing linen shorts and realized this was not a smart move. So that is great.
I totally remember that. Actually, when I was just sharing that, I'm not gonna lie, I had a flashback in my mind. I'm like, wait a second. I
Yeah.
feel like Ellie and I have talked about this before because you were wearing those shorts and you're like, I did
100% that
not
was me.
think about this.
It bothered me all afternoon. I'm like, I am a wrinkled mess. And I will wear those shorts for an event again. I actually probably won't even travel with them. I love them a lot. Probably won't travel with them again.
Standing only shorts.
Yeah, those are a cocktail short only. Okay, so I want people to be able to understand like how do they work with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on all social media, official Tori Cruz, and there's so much information there on especially my Instagram page. I am fairly new to TikTok, but we are ramping that baby up. I'm so
Woo!
excited. I can't wait. I've never wanted to be on TikTok, and then my team is like, you got to be on TikTok. So here we are. But you can go on there. All the information is there. But really, the area that we work with our clients the most in is our 60-day transformation package because a lot of people come to me and they're like, hey, I have a brand photo shoot coming up. And I say, that's amazing. I would love to style you for that. However, we don't just do one off styling like a typical stylist does. What we do is it's a transformation because when you want to look the part, when you want to feel the part, it's way more about the feeling that you have inside. And if you just have a wardrobe for your brand photo shoot that is the high vibe wardrobe, that is the next level self, that you look so dang good, you feel amazing, that's great. However, when you step outside of that photo shoot and you go back to your old self wardrobe, it's not going to be in alignment. And so, what I really find important is working with our clients in the 60-day package to begin with. And we really transform and we create 40 plus outfits that are for our clients in the 60-day transformation plus fashion consulting with some of your current wardrobe, if that's something that you choose. And that is where we really see the transformation. And you have so many amazing pieces that make you feel confident that you can pull from your closet at any time. And they're very versatile, multifunctional outfits for travel to then if you're attending an event or you're speaking on stage. And all of it is aligned with who you are, first and foremost, your brand. And also, if you're a speaker, it aligns with your message or your book, if you're going on a book tour or your podcast. I work with speakers of all kinds. And so that 60-day transformation is the place that you're going to fully say goodbye to the old way that you dress and that old self that you know isn't aligned before that transition that you have now stepped into. And this is going to actually catapult you forward and have this new image and this new attractiveness about you that is going to take you to the next level that you've always desired. And I'm your girl that's giving you permission to step outside of the box and actually go to that level that you've always wanted to go to.
Tori, I love you so much. And I actually am so excited for the next few years. My goal is to put out a book. And so I cannot wait for you to style me for my book
Can't wait.
tour. So
I can't wait.
you heard it here first. Tori will be styling me for my future book tour. And I can't freaking wait.
I'm just going to challenge you. Why don't you get that book out in 1 year?
Okay, deal. So it's basically like 1 year. That's a great project for 2024.
Hey, I think so. You can do it, girl. My book's sitting right here. I got this book done in 30 days, Allie. 30 days. So if I got this book done in 30 days, would I start my second book now? Probably. Maybe we'll write our books together. But you literally can, this goes back to just you can literally do anything. You just have to put your mind to it. And your book is going to be so freaking impactful that I can't even wait because you have this special gift that literally elevates women and really puts them into their next level. Like you always say, high vibe. That is you. When I hear high vibe, I think Alia Ruda. It is just so you, and the world needs more of that. And I love how you were even saying about your wardrobe when you go to the gym. I see your Instagram, your photos, videos all the time. You are in the bright clothes, and I love it because you are setting the stage for all of the women at your gym. And like, just if you're hosting an event, which I know you do a lot of different events, and when people see you at the gym, you are constantly inspiring every woman who walks into your business. And that is just the most beautiful thing. Like, you are in your power all the time. And you're giving such a positive influence and inspiration to all the women who walk by you constantly and who talk to you and attend your events. You're constantly inspiring. And so I can only imagine the impact that your book is going to have on this world. I mean, I might just go on your book tour with you. Can I
Yeah,
just come on the book tour the whole time? I don't even know where it is, but let's do it.
I will do some live podcast events and it'll be
Yes.
very high vibe and very, very stylish.
We do virtual styling, but for you, I think I'm just going to say, I'm going to style you in person for every single stop on this book tour. And we're just going to show up and we're going to have this girl gang with us. And it's going
I
to
love
be
it.
fun.
I love it. We'll have so many slumber parties.
Yes. All the things.
Sounds great. Tori, I love you so much. And I'm so grateful to have had you on the show today. I feel like there are so many powerful nuggets that people will be able to take from this episode. Maybe give it a little save and put it in your pocket, save it for later, especially as you are preparing for your 2024 event circuit. Tori is your girl. Make sure you connect with her on Instagram and check out her TikToks because that's exciting. We're going to link her book in the show notes as well. So give that a read. That would just be a gift for you to have on your nightstand, on your bookshelf. Tori is amazing. She is a force and she is your girl for all things personal style and that identity piece. And I just could not be more grateful to have had you on the show today. Thank you for your time and your energy and your gifts of all that you shared today.
Thank you so much, girl. I just adore you. I cannot wait to give you a big hug in person here in just a couple months. And thank you for having me on. I'm so excited for this podcast and all the impact that it's going to make. I love you, girl, and just cherish our friendship so much. So thank you for having me on as a guest today.
Cheers to you. Love you so much. Love all of you that were here listening. Thank you so much. And until next time, we will chat with you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tori Cruise Show. If today's episode inspired you, let's keep the momentum going. For our YouTube family, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're always in the loop with our latest episodes. And for our podcast listeners, your ratings and reviews are incredibly valuable. They help us reach more people and continue bringing inspiring stories your way. Remember, this isn't just a podcast, it's a growing community of family. Every like, share, and review helps us grow on our journey together, helping us to highlight more impactful stories. Until next time, keep being the light for yourself and others. See you on the next adventure.